I got a friend in Carson City, a very good doctor. It might be smart to stop in and see him.
Yeah, it's too far. I gotta get back to my ranch, the Ponderosa.
For decades, one quiet absence has kept fans talking. When Lorne Greene passed away in 1987, many expected the full Bonanza family to be there, standing together one last time. But one face was missing. Pernell Roberts did not attend the funeral. That single decision was enough to reopen years of speculation, old rumors, and half-remembered stories from the set of one of television's most beloved westerns. To some fans, it felt like a silent protest.
We're still at Paramount before I moved to Warner Bros. We're shooting night for night on the street. So it has to be dark, And it was late. And Rose had called and said, when will I be home? I said, I'll probably be home on 8 o'clock. She said, well, dinner's waiting. I said, I know, dear, I know. I'll try my best. So just before 8 o'clock, I get a call from the set. They're starting to shoot and they're having problems.
With Pernell?
Well, not just with Pernell. They're having, sometimes Michael would kind of see, he had a wonderful relationship with Lorne Greene, which I spoke about. But sometimes he would tease Lorne.
To others, a final confirmation that something had gone wrong behind the scenes. But the truth, as is often the case, was far more layered than gossip ever allowed. Pernell Roberts was never a typical television star. Born in 1928 in Waycross, Georgia, he grew up intellectually restless, drawn to music, poetry, and serious theater rather than fame. After serving in the Marine Corps, he immersed himself in stage work, performing Shakespeare and classical drama, developing a reputation as a thoughtful, disciplined actor who cared deeply about meaning and craft. Television was not his dream. It was simply the opportunity that arrived when producers came looking for a strong, intelligent presence for a new Western series called Bonanza. Roberts accepted the role of Adam Cartwright with hesitation.
Something about, I don't appreciate him. I don't know what brought it on. I said, Pernell, if anyone in the world appreciates you, so even to writing that survival thing, and putting up with you all the time, it's myself. So what do you really want? He said, I want off the show. I said, you really want off the show? Yes, but you'll never allow me off the show. I said, this minute you're off the show.
Already skeptical of television's tendency toward formula and simplicity. On screen, Roberts became the quiet counterweight to Bonanza's broader appeal. Adam Cartwright was measured, introspective, and morally serious, a character shaped as much by Roberts' personality as by the script. Audiences responded immediately. The show exploded in popularity, becoming a cultural fixture in American homes. But while success thrilled viewers, it weighed on Roberts. As the seasons passed, he grew increasingly frustrated with storylines he felt lacked depth, realism, or emotional complexity. He did not hide those concerns. He spoke up. He questioned scripts. He pushed for change. To some, that made him difficult. To those who actually worked with him, it made him principled. Lorne Greene stood at the opposite end of the temperament spectrum. Born in Ottawa in 1915, Greene came from broadcasting, not theater. His deep, resonant voice earned him the nickname the Voice of Canada during his years at CBC Radio, where his wartime broadcasts carried gravity and reassurance. By the time he transitioned into acting, he brought with him a sense of discipline and structure shaped by years of live broadcasting. As Ben Cartwright, the patriarch of Bonanza, Greene embodied calm authority, moral steadiness, and warmth. He was punctual, prepared, and deeply professional. On set, he set the tone simply by how he carried himself. When Roberts and Greene worked together, the contrast was obvious. Roberts questioned. Greene stabilized. Roberts wanted television to stretch toward theater. Greene believed in delivering the material cleanly and gracefully within the system that existed. This difference in philosophy is where much of the later mythology was born. Crew members remembered moments when Roberts openly critiqued the storyline, frustrated by what he saw as shallow writing.
So he said, what? As of this minute, don't even bother to come back. Just turn in your wardrobe and You're not, you're off the show. I'm not taking advantage of you. I'm interfering with his having a career as the most successful star in feature films. I said, really? I said, what about Marlon Brando? And Paul Newman was people like Paul Newman. I mentioned a half a dozen people. See, if you think those people are better than I am, then you really don't appreciate me. What are you gonna do? Even though I have enormous respect for him as an actor, but he has this problem. He can't be part of it. He wants to be the star. And in many ways, he should be the star, but I can't spend a film. And the number one show in the world, that was not enough.
Greene would listen, acknowledge the concern, and then gently suggest they do the best they could with what was on the page. It was not confrontation, it was difference. These moments became seeds for rumor because fans tend to read drama into contrast. But those who were there rarely described hostility. One longtime crew member later summarized it simply: Greene was the steady hand, Roberts the restless thinker. Their conversations reflected that balance. Greene valued harmony, Roberts valued truth. Neither approach was wrong. They simply existed in tension. In 1965, at the height of Bonanza's success, Roberts made a decision that shocked Hollywood. He walked away. He turned down fame, money, and long-term security because he no longer felt challenged by the writing. Rumors immediately filled the vacuum. Fans assumed he must have clashed with co-stars, especially Greene, the symbolic father of the show. Yet Roberts consistently denied that narrative. He spoke respectfully of Greene and Michael Landon, insisting his issue was never personal. It was about the material.
So next morning, he had called his agent when he got home that night. William Morris calls and says, what's this thing about you telling Pernell is off the show? I said, well, I'm not going to stand in the way of the greatest star the motion pictures ever knew. He wants off the show. Oh, come on, he's an actor. I said, wait a minute. He wants off the show. He's driven me insane, Oh, and I think I really don't want to interfere with his great future career. So he said, well, at least let him finish the next 6 shows. Finish the season. They're getting a big fat commission on his salary, and now his salary is pretty high. So I said, on one condition: stop arguing and stop fighting and stop telling me how I don't appreciate him, or I'm taking advantage of him, or I'm interfering with his career. Just read the lines like the other guys do and do the show.
Greene, for his part, publicly expressed regret at Roberts' departure. He acknowledged that actors sometimes outgrow roles and need creative fulfillment elsewhere. There was no public feud, no angry statements, just two professionals acknowledging a divergence in values. After Bonanza, their paths separated naturally. Roberts returned to theater, chose projects carefully, and later found renewed success on television with Trapper John, M.D., a role that finally allowed him the emotional honesty he had long wanted. Greene continued acting, recording spoken-word albums, and later became beloved for his work in wildlife and nature programming. For years, that would have been the end of the story. But then came the funeral. When Greene died in 1987, the absence of Pernell Roberts immediately reignited old assumptions. Fans who already believed in backstage tension saw the empty space as confirmation. How could someone who spent 6 years working alongside Greene not attend such a public farewell? To many, the absence felt symbolic, even accusatory. Silence invited interpretation, and interpretation turned into myth. What the public often missed was that Roberts had a long history of avoiding public ceremonies altogether. He disliked anything that felt performative, especially when grief was involved. Friends described him as intensely private, someone who believed mourning was not meant for cameras or headlines. He avoided other Hollywood funerals as well, not just Greene's. But because he rarely explained himself publicly, his silence became a blank canvas onto which others projected their assumptions.
So he said, he'll do that. He'll agree. He wants off the show, but he knows he has to do the next 6 shows. And we did the 6 shows. We said goodbye. Never this, except at Dan Block's funeral. Well, we did see each other. We were friendly, but he never got anywhere in his career in motion pictures. It was really, tragic in a way because he was so good.
Michael Landon later offered insight that helped clarify the dynamic. As a young actor on Bonanza, Landon admired Greene's calm professionalism and quietly observed Roberts' dissatisfaction with creative limitations. In hindsight, Landon said Roberts taught him the importance of artistic control, while Greene modeled how to navigate the pressures of fame with grace. From Landon's perspective, the disagreements on set were not personal battles, but part of a larger creative tension that shaped the show's identity. Dan Blocker, who played Hoss Cartwright, echoed that sentiment. He often described Greene as a father figure off camera, someone who made people feel supported during long shooting days. At the same time, he respected Roberts deeply for taking even simple dialogue seriously. Blocker understood that Roberts was not rebelling for attention, but because he believed television could be better. Victor Sen-Yung, who played Hop Singh, remembered Greene adjusting his own blocking to give supporting actors more visibility, and Roberts quietly reading or discussing theater between takes, becoming animated only when conversation turned to social issues or artistic integrity. These recollections paint a consistent picture. There was no feud, no Cold War simmering beneath the surface. There were two men with different philosophies, working together under the intense pressures of network television. One prioritized stability, the other prioritized depth. Together they created a balance that made Bonanza resonate with audiences for generations. So why did Pernell Roberts not attend Lorne Greene's funeral? The answer is not dramatic. It is human. He avoided public grief. He avoided spectacle. He mourned privately, as he lived privately. But in a culture that expects symbolic gestures from public figures, absence was interpreted as statement. Silence was mistaken for resentment. In the end, the story says more about how audiences process celebrity than about the relationship itself. Fans wanted a narrative of conflict because conflict feels satisfying. The truth is quieter. Pernell Roberts and Lorne Greene were not close friends, but they were respectful colleagues whose contrasting temperaments strengthened the show they shared. One anchored it, the other challenged it. And when the cameras stopped rolling, each continued living according to his own values. Sometimes the most persistent mysteries are built not on hidden drama, but on misunderstood silence.